going to make a video now about a topic that people have strong opinion on, which is democracy. Is democracy something that the theory can endorse? Now, just to begin with, I understand that this is people have strong opinions on it. Some people are believe very strongly that even asking the question is bad. But you have to think about this like in terms of what does the theory tell you? Maybe you can make things better. Okay, so the first thing to know is that because in everyone's every experiential agent's intelligence stems from the same metaphysical component, according to the theory, which is the dimension of experience. Basically, we all share the same moral compass. It is our bodies that aligns this moral compass differently in each person, based on the memories it stores and based on the way the brain is organized and all that stuff. So, and the theory doesn't have the tools to say this is the right way of doing things and this isn't. Simply, it all depends on the context by which you judge it, and sometimes an action may look or a morality may look evil, but in a different historical context, or even just a different amount of time, historical time, then it starts to make sense and becomes just. So if it doesn't make any argument about it, just doesn't. He says it doesn't know. So, but what it can do is like judge democracy based on its merits in the here and now, based on the one concern that the theory argues about, which is the experience. So, is democracy compatible with experience? To answer that, you think you have to first understand what experience wants. And what experience wants is, well, it wants everything. Experience is causally independent from the things that it perceives, meaning the wakeful world, even its brain. So it should be understood as wanting everything. Inconsistent desires are norm. You don't only want pleasure, you also want pain. You don't only want sweet, you also want salty. That's just how it is, according to the theory. So a system of governments that is going to be coherent with the theory should allow for both ends to be expressed. This is what the theory calls experiential dominance, the ability to change the wakeful world based on your decisions. Do you have that? If you have it, then the theory would say you would be content with the reality that it presents you, and you want to stay, and you want to keep it, and you will act to keep it. And this is something that the theory will endorse because it makes sense for experience to live in such a system of government, like an experiential agent. Okay, so does democracy ensure that? Now, first, right off the bat, the vote is not an expression of experiential dominance. It is a good way to ensure that the majority of the people aren't let's say, unhappy, and therefore, let's say, even for experiential dominance reasons. So in that sense, it's a good thing, even in terms of the theory. But the fact of the matter is, when you vote every 4 years or every 3 years, every year. The experiential dominance is determined on the level of seconds. So for something to be an expression of experiential dominance, it has to respond to the here and now, and the vote doesn't do that. So that cannot be justifying a democracy as far as the theory is concerned. So if the theory is to justify democracy or to endorse it, it would have to find some other reasoning. So if experience wants everything, well, there's one thing definitely that it doesn't want. It doesn't want not being able to do that. And one very significant way in which it manifests is fear. When you are afraid, your experiential dominance is low. Fear is the feeling that you cannot do stuff. Like among the other ways of that low experiential dominance can manifest, but this is one big way. So if you reduce fear, theoretically you're raising the experiential dominance. So that's a good thing. But being afraid of being afraid, that's not a solution. Like if you are in a society where you're afraid, then that's not the fear cannot endorse that. If you are afraid of losing your democracy, that's not a good. That's not something that the fear would endorse. If it's the fear aspect of your, then the fear says no, this is not good enough. This is something that this won't justify a system. So what else? So it's not going to be the fear of an autocracies or theocracies or dictators or whatever. That's a fear cannot be a justification for democracy according to the fear. So, but that's democracy isn't just peddling fear for other systems. It also offers liberalism, the ability to express your desires, to be free to do whatever you want, and that's definitely an expression of experiential dominance. And in that sense, the theory says, yeah, right on, this is a good system. But note that there is a lot that this freedom there's a lot of it that comes from the fact that there's the democracy. But then the question is it really linked with democracy? If essentially anarchy will give you the same thing. Democracy just reduces the fear, and that's its advantage, I would say. You get the similar benefits as in anarchy, but with less fear, and therefore you get more freedom. Depends on who you are, depends on your position, but that's what the theory would argue. Now, and in that sense, it's better. But then you have other principles of democracy that make it a bit of a problem. So, on the one hand, you have the idea of equality under the law, and this is necessary for the democratic rule to stay. Otherwise, it will devolve into mob rule or to anarchy or something like that. So we have to keep that principle. But that principle comes also with, like, on its own, it would have been fine. But then it comes also with the principle of a sense of unity. Like, why are we all this? Why do we get all the same freedom? Is it because that is necessary for democracy? That's not the moral argument. The moral argument would say that we all get the same rights because we all are at our core the same. And this type of unity, even though the theory says, yeah, we all have the same intelligence, get the intelligence from the same metaphysical component, the experiential scape, the dimension of experience, still the bodies are different and the desires are different, and to not see that is to dampen experiential dominance. And so you have to, and the way this is being explained is not as, yeah, we're giving you freedom because you are different and because this is the only way we can keep this zoo in order. It is peddled as there's an ideal of justice that we are trying to achieve through equality and unity and all that. There's like something that is inherently good about that, and the theory says no, that doesn't work. Experientially, that doesn't work. So what you would see in such a reality when you're doing that, you would start to try to compensate for the lack of experiential dominance with expression of experiential dominance in brute expression of experiential dominance in other realms. And that's exactly what we see today. We see people that are pushing the envelope on things that just on their ability to endorse positions that to any that are difficult for people to wrap their head around because they don't make any sense, and but I think that they are right to do so. It is the right thing to do under this kind of system, according to the theory, to be irrational, to push for crazy stuff. But the question is this what you want? Because if you're not happy with with a society going crazy, then you should. Then the theory would say you have to dampen down the attempt to achieve some kind of a justice, and just understand that the system requires equality, but that's it. But then again, you don't have to follow these recommendations. You can do whatever you want. The free won't judge you for it.